Now, what the heck is a crafty offense? I've been wondering about that ever since Chad Scott described the offense that way in a Sportsline interview back near the end of May. But before I wonder a little bit more about it, I want to remind you to click that thumbs up, make comments, subscribe, and tell your friends, because all those things are free and they can help me quite a bit if you feel like helping. Now, crafty offense. When Scott described the offense as fast and explosive, well, that made sense. That's how we usually talk about an offense. And I figured it did mean that he was going to be doing more passing than a lot of people were expecting. And then he had to go and describe it as a crafty offense. And now that is not the way we usually describe football offenses. And I kept wondering, and it struck me a few days ago that Chad Scott has a sense of humor. And we see that in some of his interviews. That's not a surprise. But what does that have to do with any offense, much less a crafty one? And I have a suspicion that Chad Scott's sense of humor is a rather mischievous one. And it goes along with a pretty high intelligence. Regular intelligence and what they call football IQ. And I think we are going to see that applied to the offense in some subtle ways. A lot of it may not be that noticeable. I think many of the plays will have a look similar to what they always have. A lot of the plays from one team to another aren't that different. There are only so many plays that you can come up with. Only so many ways you can design a play to go off tackle. But if you look at how many players on this roster can not only run but catch, can not only run and catch, but block. The variations, the permutations, the way they may start with two backs in the backfield or a back and a receiver or wildcat, what they can shift into, all of those things are going to be a lot more varied than most other teams have ever been able to do. But that's not a crafty offense necessarily. And I think where it's going to get subtle is in some of the variations that we see on the ordinary plays. A little bit of misdirection, motion used maybe in some ways that it used to be. And lately it seems motion has just all been distraction, smoke and mirrors. Not really what we'd call misdirection. So I think we are going to see a lot of little quirks, just a little touch of something added to a play that will open things up a little bit more. Give the defense a little something to think about that they weren't expecting. Give us something to watch that we weren't expecting. I mean, I think it's going to be an exciting offense. Of course, I also think the receivers are better than a lot of people seem to think. And I do believe that Chad Scott is going to be running the offense. Some people like to push this theory that Coach Brown has never given up control of the offense, and that the only time he wasn't calling plays was when the offense did well. That seems to be the evidence for some people. If the offense did well, Brown wasn't calling the plays. Well, that's a pretty absurd assumption. What they're overlooking, or what some of them just don't understand, to Coach Brown, the offense isn't just a thing. The team is not just a thing. I think to people like Coach Brown, the team is a living thing. He cares about each of the players, but he also cares about the team itself. And no, he's not really just going to turn that over and completely let it be run and raised by someone he doesn't know. But he knows Chad Scott. They've worked together for a long time. He trusts Scott, and they share certain beliefs. And I think Coach Brown will trust Chad Scott with the care of the offense. And I think that is going to result in an innovative, exciting, fast, crafty offense. So what the heck is a crafty offense? Well, I think we're going to have to wait until August to really find out. Now, we did see one, the quarterback, play in spring, Green's catch. I think that was a little hint. Didn't show a lot other than that. Probably still working out a lot of the details. And as somebody in one of the discussion boards pointed out, likely didn't want players to know too much about the offense in case they transferred. So now that the portal is closed, can get down to work. So what happens when you have a mischievous, innovative, crafty offensive coordinator like Chad Scott? I want to see. I'm excited. Meanwhile, this has been another video from WVU Football Going Deep. I hope you have enjoyed some of it. Hope you'll watch more. And I'll be back another time. Thanks a lot.